Hello and welcome to the Free Outside Show. It is the month of Jeff. So we have on another Jeff. We have Jeff Dengate of Runner's World. We're really leveling up. Our guests are actually big name Jeffs. We didn't get Jeff Bezos because he's on a yacht, and we're anti-yacht, at least until we own one here at the Free Outside podcast. But we also have the Jeffrey Awards coming up at the end of the month. These are the most prestigious awards in podcasting, in the ultra running space, and trail running, all of that combined. It's an incredible honor. Many people have won them and shown them off for many years, and they sit on many mantle places of prestigious people around the world. And we want your help in nominating, creating, and giving out the awards. So linked below, I have a Google form where you can vote on the awards we're giving out and propose your own awards and nominees and tell us anything you want us to know about the Jeffreys and what we should do with them. And if you don't know, the Jeffreys. Last year, we gave out Jeffreys for things like the most airtime. This would have been who was on live stream coverage the most, because some of these live streams are like 5 days long. We had the They Still Run ? Award. We had Most Tragic FKT. We had We Should Be Your Publicist. We had Most Obvious New Race Director. We had the Finally It Happened Award. Of course, my favorite, Double Track versus Single Track Award, or the Courtney DeWalter versus Jim Walmsley Award. These are all awards we hand out and people cherish them. So help us decide who should win Jeffreys and which Jeffreys we should be giving out. And maybe, just maybe, we'll be creating some iconic physical awards this year. This will be our last episode of the year, and in a time where everyone's begging people to vote on Ultra Runner of the Year, we like to be a bit more, we'll call it inclusive, but maybe off the beaten path and have fun, because that's what this sport is all about. Fun anyway. So get those submissions in for Jeffrey Award winners, Jeffrey Award nominees, and we'll see where things go this coming year. It's going to be a fun episode. So on today's episode of the podcast, I have Jeff Dengate. We talk about running trends, how to review gear, what matters, what shoes you should pick out. We talk a little bit about LeBron James, obviously. And we just get into the nitty-gritty of being the runner-in-chief of Runner's World in 2025 and kind of how things have progressed from an age 20 years ago when you were getting physical copies of a magazine frequently, and many of them at your doorstep. I always got Sports Illustrated, and now things have shifted to online, video, short-form content, and we get into all that. It's a very interesting conversation, so I hope you enjoy that. And let's just get into the episode. If you want to support the show, you can patreon.com/freeoutside. I used to put out content there, but I'm so busy interviewing guests. I spend so many hours doing research, actually. I like this. It's made me better at talking, conversing with people, knowing how to be a social human in a crazy world like this. So it's been good for me. Also, it's grown, and the podcast actually can be a part of my life and affording to live in a home and not a backpack. There were years when I didn't own a car because I couldn't afford it, or an address because I couldn't afford it. But here we are, podcaster extraordinaire, Jeff Garmire, coming at you. Here is Jeff Dengate. Today on the Free Outside podcast, we are back with another Jeff. And he might have the best Instagram handle of anyone we're having on this month. Where did Dengatorade come from?
When I was in high school running, I would just drink Kool-Aid with salt in it instead of Gatorade. And my last name is Dengate. And so we started calling it Dengatorade. I haven't been sued yet, thankfully. But yeah, it was my cheap sports drink.
Awesome. I love how it's actually rooted in something, not just a play on your last name too.
Yeah.
So what is the runner-in-chief of Runner's World? Is that like editor-in-chief or something different? What are you?
Yeah. So we don't have a true editor-in-chief in a typical magazine structure. And in fact, our magazine is a bit structured differently than most, where, you have a single staff. We are part of an enthusiast group here at Hearst. And so we have Runner's World, Bicycling, Popular Mechanics, biography.com, bestproducts.com, a bunch of things. So a lot of us work across different titles. So I am director of product testing. So I run all the shoe testing and gear testing, but also on popular mechanics as well. So all the people that are testing chainsaws and snowblowers and stuff like that. I'm involved with them heavily. But then, my passion has been running, and I've been on this brand for so long. So I touch a lot of everything that we do across Runner's World. I do my own weekly video series that we have, bringing in other staff members to talk with them, and even on down through all of the training and news and everything. I end up seeing a lot of it through my day to day.
Okay. So a little bit of everything, but a lot on the review side. And I want to dive into this review side with a few different types of questions. The first one, which I'm dying to know, have you ever killed a review because a product was so bad?
Yeah. I mean, there's some stuff we just don't write about. And we know it long before we ever get to the point of writing a review of something. I don't want to say there's ever, I try to say there's never a shoe that's perfect or a product that's perfect for everybody. And there's not one that's just so universally terrible. My job is to find out who it's good for.
Yeah.
And it may be good for only a handful of people. And in that case, maybe it's not worth us really spending a lot of time writing about, or maybe it has actually a pretty serious flaw. So we'll know that just through the testing, through use of it. And we'll be like, no, this one, we're going to put our efforts on something that more people are going to care about, that are going to help more people, and just forget that one.
Yeah, that's a really good way to frame it, and talk to a couple other guests about that too, is usually a product does have some audience. Sometimes it's just tiny. And especially in maybe like an example would be like the super shoe realm, there might be some lower tier super shoes that might be good if you don't have a lot of money and are in college, but want to run a faster marathon than an average trainer, but you can't afford maybe a top tier super shoe or something like that.
Yeah. And there are a lot of people who just can't wear a super shoe.
Totally.
Maybe they have an orthotic, or it just doesn't work for them. And we think, oh, these are great, these are the best shoes ever. But if they're not, if it doesn't work for you, it's going to be a terrible shoe. I think about this a lot, because there are a lot of people that give their thoughts on product. There's so much noise out there. If you Google something, it's like, where do I even start anymore? And a lot of people are just one person giving their opinion. And I've got a lot of years doing this. I think maybe I can make some sense of things, but I still always go back to, we work with almost 300 wear testers here. We have a bunch of people for every shoe we get. We'll put it on like 12 people. And I want their insights so we can see, okay, is there a type of person or a type of speed or, something that where this product excels? Because if it doesn't work for me and I just tell everybody it stinks, or if I love it and I tell everybody it's the best shoe ever, it is only if you're me, if you're that one person. So I'm always hopeful that like I can make sense of what we're doing, but be able to help you.
Yeah, it almost sounds like you're framing it in the sense of, we're trying to connect to the people that this shoe is good for, rather than just slap a review on it that relates to the average person out there, because no one's generally the average person.
Yeah. And even you think like pros, right? Like, oh, what does a pro athlete wear? Well, they're pretty gifted and they can probably get away with most things. And they're often going to be wearing something that, is provided by their sponsor. So is it very valuable to say, I want to wear the shoe that person wears? My thing, I'm a curious person by nature, and like, I grew up in a household. My parents were auto workers, and so we fixed things and we problem solved. And so what's cool about my day job is we actually do that here, where we're a service brand. Like if you say, why do my shins hurt, you come to us and we help you figure it out and solve the problem to make you better. And I still think even on down to shoes or, whatever it is, watches, I want the right one for you. Let's figure out your specific needs and your problems, and let's solve that. Beyond like, the cynics of us will say, oh, people are just out to sell stuff. And it's like, I don't care what you buy, buy the thing that works for you, that's best for you. And, if that's not the flashiest, most expensive thing, so what? At least you're using it.
Well, and that's probably why Runner's World is still around, because when people are looking to buy, they will find you. You're not in their face, such as an ad pop up right in their face when they're not looking to buy per se. It's a lot more, I guess,
we
organic.
Too, though.
You want to be that option or remind them to buy. But I think, I don't know. I think consumers are smarter in the sense that it's not like, Oh yeah, maybe I should buy because I saw an ad. It's more like you're actively looking around and thinking about running shoes, and you just get those gentle reminders.
Yeah, yeah, hopefully there's that trust.
Hmm.
We talk about this a lot in especially the age of AI, and you can't. What do you know is do you know that something's actually real? You're watching these really convincing videos and photos that are like they're just generated by something, and a lot of that may take parts of my job as well. That could be a possibility, but like people who know us, who who know me,
Hmm.
oftentimes they're like they feel like they're part of our community. It's like going out
Yeah.
on a group run with somebody. This feeling, and you're going to have that kind of conversation with somebody. And if we can do that, like kind of at all the turns of our business, to just kind of keep that community feel, that trust, it's earned. We have to earn it every single day. But
Hmm.
even little things like I'll answer questions from people on Instagram, or I'll see people out at races, and you all of a sudden have a connection with them that's beyond just I'm going to sell you a magazine or charge you to read our website or whatever, and then tell you what's good for you. Um, you know,
Yeah.
we, we genuinely want to connect with all the runners who need help.
Yeah, you've already brought up a number of things I want to go on, but let's go down the
Yeah.
AI rabbit hole first. It's kind of scary, and I'm wondering if it's gonna equate and lead people to almost going back to the brand or the trust structure of something like a runner's world where I mean you're at least quite sure it's not AI, but like generally there's so many things out there and so much content being produced at a rate that's probably faster than humans can produce, and it will probably continue. How is how do you suspect AI is going to influence things like this? Because if people don't know, a lot of things are structured in the affiliate marketing side, where if they get a review out and it registers high and people click through, whoever's controlling the AI makes money. I'm wondering your concerns and the concerns around runner's world with this stuff.
I mean, it's real. AI is here. It's here to stay. Like,
Hmm.
we have pretty strict guidelines on how we can use it, and it can be things that are helpful to us and time saving things that may otherwise bog us down. But it's not a writing thing. We can't use it for any of that. But it's going to be here, and it's interesting that like a lot of it is kind of killing the things we want to do,
Hmm.
and instead of kind of being that time saving thing. But right, what is the trust? And we don't know it, and we don't know where it's getting its info. Sometimes we don't know how it's generating its results and whether those results can be true and trusted. I heard something a teacher actually didn't want to dissuade their students from using AI, so they actually had it give them results, and then they looked at it to fact check it or figure out
Wow.
how it
Okay.
right. You flip the script a little bit and go, okay, let's find out what's right, what's good, what's bad. Because I don't
Hmm.
necessarily think it's necessarily bad, but like with anything, it's only as good as what you feed it. And when you get the masses, everything sort of comes back down to the norm. It comes back down to the mean. So if it's just fed all the garbage that's out there from whatever unvetted sources of people who are just spouting their uneducated opinions, does it regurgitate that, does it learn that and then say that that's the right thing? We'll find out where it goes, and then it's ultimately how useful is it going to
Yeah.
be. For us, it's really like I mentioned, that trust thing. That's why you'll see me out at races and I'm always wearing the runner's world shirt, and
Yeah.
people will shout more out there, and all of a sudden like there's a human connected to it. That there's a person that like is out there sweating, out there trying these things, out there using these things. And the moment that's gone, we're just, as questionable as an AI source.
Yeah. My concern is it will like the end goal in some realm, if you take out any human emotion or empathy, is to sell. So it's going to take the best strategies to sell and cull the internet for the reasons to sell a certain product to certain people, be the most relatable, the most applicable to search queries that will relate to it. And then beyond that, it strips away some of the creativity, which, just like you said, the things we want to do, we're letting it take over and almost take over our purpose. It's I did a rant on this a couple episodes ago, and it's just like it's a scary thing of, if you or I wanted to write a book, it could be our book about our life, but AI could take our life and 1,000 other people's and take the most interesting things and make a more interesting book that's not real. It's scary.
Yeah, I want it to do my expense reports. I don't want it to write my shoe reviews.
Yeah.
Right. It's being used for all sorts of weird purposes right now. And I actually studied computer science as well when I was younger,
Hmm.
and so I'm a nerd. And so I'm fascinated by new tech, and I don't. While it's always scary, anything can be scary. Economic downturns, all the uncertainties we have. I like to see those as challenges and opportunities. When everybody else sort of panics, like, what do we do? How do we, maybe our business does change a little bit. Maybe it needs to change. We'll find that out. Now's the
Hmm.
time to try something.
Yeah, let's talk about kind of the changing landscape of
Yeah.
publications. What is kind of the runner's world breakdown of uh, revenue streams or income currently to be a relevant magazine in today's day and age?
Yeah, well, I mean, a magazine is just one of the things we do now.
Hmm.
Where when I first started at Runner's World back in 2007, years ago, it was we were a magazine, and then we gave everything away for free. Like, we just
Hmm.
published those articles on the website and called it a day, right? And it's grown to be so much more that we're content. We create content
Hmm.
about running, and we find what platform that content is best suited for. And it's not just the same thing across everything. So what may be a great print story may just not work in other areas.
Hmm.
The web is still our biggest thing. It's updated every single day, every single hour. And we're going to put a lot of effort there, but we have a lot of focus on social media, on video, on so many different places. And the magazine is one of those spots where we're able to reach people.
Is that part of your job to see and decide where to put effort, such as I'm sure in the last 20 years, adding in a way more video, I'm sure is a huge thing, especially on the review front too.
It's my job's content creation. We're
Okay.
we're storytellers, journalists. But we've had to think about it a lot more than we ever did. Right? We would go, this sounds like a great lineup for the magazine. Let's write these stories, not really thinking about whether or not they were going to be any good. But
Yeah.
we have teams that across Hearst and some of the other titles that understand maybe what's going to work, what isn't going to work, and we're constantly looking at the data and signals, as we like to say. What do our readers want to know? What do our
Hmm.
followers want to learn from us? And is there a chance that that's going to be successful? Let's put our energies there. So yeah, it's really kind of my job still, just really creating the content and understanding all those different opportunities that are brought to us.
Hmm. Is there a topic or like nutrition or reviews or more writing about people or different stories and stuff? Is there a topic that continually does really well currently in today's day and age? What do people want to
Yeah,
hear?
yeah. I mean, training and products, training and gear has always been really big. It's the things that we touch, right? Every
Hmm.
single day, you go out for a run, and if it's your first time out, you want to understand, what do I do? I'm just getting started. What do
Totally.
I need to know? I made it to the end of the block and it stunk. How do I make it not stink? Or you get injured. That it's a
Hmm.
reality. Runners are going to continue to get injured no matter what we do, and they want to know how to fix it. And
Yeah.
so we're there for them. And to training, and I also I want to get faster. I want to lose weight. Whatever the motivation to do this sport is, that's always going to be huge, and we know that. And then the gear, it's always changing. But how do we do products? Do we go down the affiliate road and try to give you like the top 10 shoes, or do we just really go on and wax poetically about a shoe or a product that we really love? There's a mix of it that we figure
Yeah.
out. Those are
Is
those
there
are constantly looking at.
is there an older article that still does pretty well, is still often clicked on that you can think of?
Um, I mean, yeah, there's some that are we just continually keep updating, like our training plans in general.
Oh
Are
yeah.
there? There's one tool, yeah, that we have, which is it's blown my mind so many times over the years. Our what to wear tool.
Okay.
I'm gonna go out for a run. What do I wear? And we rebuilt it. We killed it once or twice, and people were like, "Where did it go? I love this thing." And I'm like, "Just stick your head out the window." But no, it's literally, you punch in the weather. How do you want to feel? Do you want to be warm? Do you want to feel cool? What's going on? And it spits out a recommendation for what you should wear. And it's a really simple, handy tool that people love. Um,
Yeah. Those are the types of stories and things that I love because it's like, I would probably never look that up, but you can't argue with the masses who are like, bring back the tool. And you're like, just look outside. But it's kind of funny that, nope, they love that tool and we can't get rid of it whether we want to or not.
It's the beauty of like trying to remember, we're not all runners are you or me, or, when we think
Mm-hmm.
about like the sport of the sport, the competitive side of it, it's a really, really small representation of what running is really about. And there are millions of people who have all sorts of different motivations and needs, as they're just out there trying to get healthy.
Yeah, totally. So when you do review a shoe and you send it out to a number of people, and let's say you're one of the people testing it, does it impact how you run, or during your runs, are you having to think about the shoe and you can't fully enjoy the run?
I'm in different shoes every single day. Like I just unboxed a pair, like literally before this, and I'm going to run in them this afternoon for my second run of the day. I think I'm in about 130 pairs of shoes this year so far. So I'm a little bit blessed that I can kind of get away with it and not
Yeah.
get too banged up. I just love trying them too. I'm just like, this is cool. I can't wait to try it. Some shoes, I'm just like, yeah, that wasn't
Mhm.
my favorite. I can get away with it, but I prefer something else, so I'll go to it. But I can leverage our wear testers. I said, we'll go. We have about 300 runners. I have a robust database about them. I know more about them than they know about themselves. And I'm not even kidding. Like they have to come to our office right here and pick up their test shoes. They're all local enough that they can drive here to do that. And we make recommendations. I look at all the shoes we have and then assign them a pair of shoes that I think is going to work based on what they've worn in the past, what their goals are, or what they need. And then when they come in and they try them on, sometimes we have to make adjustments. And hey, this one's not going to work, not just because of the fit, but because I want to do something different. Maybe I'm training for a trail race now instead of the roads where I needed stability shoes. So we go through all those kinds of thoughts to try to get something that has a really good chance of working for somebody.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't work, if there's something that's crazy, I'm just like, tell me right away. Don't wait for the month or so of testing to then just send me a Google feedback form and go, oh, the shoe didn't feel good. Like, get in touch with me. We'll figure out. Maybe I'll get you in something else, or we'll talk about what you need to do with it. Yeah. So it's like I'm fortunate enough to be able to try them out and then help make sense of what the other testers are really finding.
Can you go on a social run with a new pair of shoes that you're reviewing, or are you too busy thinking about the shoe?
A little bit of both. Yeah, I can, because I'll run it again. A lot of times I just want to go out and not think about it and just go out and just run. And I'll make notes afterwards. I'm not, too worried about that. But yeah, I mean, I'm running twice a day, most days, or a lot of days. So you get a lot of opportunities to get into a shoe. But there's, times where just 2 weeks ago, I did the Philadelphia Marathon, and these new Mizunos showed up. We got 3 different pairs, and I was like, all right, which one am I going to wear? Do I wear it for 26 miles? I wasn't racing, so the risk is a little lower. But yeah, I grabbed a box that it was a brand new shoe that it wasn't like an update that we knew probably worked. I had never put it on my foot, didn't run a step in it, and then laced it up and headed to the start line with it, and it worked out okay. But I was thinking about it throughout that race, which I used as like a training run. And when I got back in my training log, I wrote a whole bunch of notes about it. So that when we do get the feedback in and we go to write a review, I've got not only my own perceptions, but what other people are thinking.
Yeah. That would be a little nerve wracking, probably the first few miles. I'm like, I sure hope it fits my foot. And then you kind of settle in and it's like, okay, we're good.
So it's Philadelphia is a little over an hour away from us, but so my wife and daughter and I went down and we had a hotel room right at like the 7 mile mark. And so I gave them another pair of shoes and said, hey, come down and cheer for me. But most importantly, bring that pair of shoes just in case I need to switch real quick.
That's great. So you had 7 miles to decide. That's it.
Yeah. And by then you should know, like, all right, I can rock this a little longer. It'll be fine. And it was great.
Totally. Yeah. So let's I mean, you've got to be one of the most experienced shoe testers in the world. What is the process and what do you kind of look for, maybe to someone listening, trying to find a shoe that works for them that might not know a ton of? What do you kind of look for when you put it on in those first few runs in that shoe?
Yeah. I mean, one of the first things is like, it's really, I can't overstate trying a shoe on. Like, I know online is
Mhm.
so great and it's easy, and Amazon's going to deliver something to me tomorrow, and I'm going to save a few bucks, but go to your local store and try something on. Try 2 or 3 different things on. Try a brand you've never tried. Like,
Run
put your
on their
foot in it.
treadmill with it. Yeah.
Just even stand up in it. And like, but
Mhm.
if you always loved Asics, for example, and you just use their shoe nonstop, you're not going to know anything else exists. And it's okay to
Yeah.
love that shoe and keep one, maybe get another one from somebody else that surprises you, but to try them on. And one of the things I do is I will just put them on and not lace them up, like just they're still untied, and then kind of walk around in them a little bit. And you'll start to feel whether or not the shoe is slipping or there's some weird fit, even before you've laced them up. Um, just
Mhm.
to get a sense of like, if it's falling off your foot and it's just like not tight, then you might have some issues with it. Um, and then, yeah, lace them up and try them out and get on the treadmill if you can at the store. Move around and make sure that they're going to work. Comfort is number one. Like, we've so often we've prescribed shoes to people and we don't see injury rates change. The
Mhm.
runners get injured, and I'm convinced. Yes, you may not prefer a shoe. When sure, a shoe could contribute to an injury in a way, but that's a different thing. But like, it's the shoes were probably not causing the injury. It is your misuse and your doing too much too soon in a shoe.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, finding the one that feels the best for you, and what it is for the purpose that you're going to do with it. Right. I'm not going to take the Vomero Premium, which is 55 millimeters thick and 2 airbags and whatever. I'm not going to take that to the track for 400-meter intervals. Right. It wouldn't make sense, even though it's comfy. But I might grab this new Mizuno Hyper Warp Pure, which is like a super shoe, almost like a old flat, as thin and as
Okay.
snappy as you can get. I might grab that instead. But it's still comfortable. It's not the old flats that I used to run in. I'm certainly not lacing up a track spike these days. Not my
Mhm.
old body. But yeah, comfort. And then
Yeah.
from there, ease into it. Don't go take it out for 26 miles on day one. Take it out for,
No.
a couple around your block, stay close to home. And you can build your mileage up, even if a shoe isn't like the most ideal. You can find out what it works for you, and how to use it best.
Yeah. I mean, just look at what people were running 210 marathons in 65 years ago, and you'll accept that
Yeah.
any shoe could work for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I joke the stuff Ryan Hall was racing marathons in. They was with glorified bedroom slippers. I mean, they were nothing. You give that guy some P-backs and a carbon fiber plate, and goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah. It is really funny. I talked to Zach Bitter, who had the 100-mile world record, and we are talking about if he wished he'd run it in super shoes. He's like, no, it's actually kind of cooler that I'm like the last one to do a record without super shoes. It's like, that's a fair point. You always have that like asterisk of could have been faster.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We watched this sport evolve, and everybody grumbles about super shoes, but we've had innovation and improvements all along the way, right? The surfaces of tracks have gotten better. We don't have, our pro athletes don't have day jobs. A lot of them
Yeah.
don't. Where they used to, like, some of the best were working manual labor jobs. Ages ago. So a lot has improved, and it's not just these shoes. We can't like say this sport has to exist in a snapshot in time, and this is how
Hmm.
it can only be. But how do you compete in this moment, right? What do you do now? Like, think about trail races and things like that nature.
Hmm.
Are they exactly measured out with a wheel? Do you know that 100-mile race is comparable to another 100-mile race? No, you know that course. You know the people that are there
Hmm.
that day, and it is what it is. Well, the weather is different, so you're gonna grumble that the
Yeah.
course record was set under ideal conditions on a beautiful weather day, and you had to run it in mud. It's it's a
Yeah.
fun hobby, and I love that we can argue about it with stuff like that. And go, oh, you cheated because you wore these fancy shoes, but everybody else has got them. Like, it's what is happening right now. Let's go.
Also, gear is what people love, and it can be like this thing you're drawn to, and you can hold it and touch it. But so much of the innovation and increase and probably like the norm bumping up and being more fit and more able and stuff is a lot on like recovery and nutrition and fueling and taking care of yourself in the last 60 years. I think the gear has had like the overwhelming amount of credit for a lot of this, but I think we give it way more credit than just like proper eating or accepting it's okay to fuel during a marathon when back then they often would not. Or what was it, like the 1920 Olympics when most of the people dropped out? The winning time was like 3:10 or something. They were feeding them like alcohol halfway. We've come a long
Nice.
ways.
Go a long way. It's one of those things. The biggest, I think, reason that happened is, well, one, when the controversy first started, there was one company making those shoes. And so
Mm-hmm.
if you ran for another company, you were at a disadvantage, right?
Yeah.
And so that felt unfair. And it's also the thing that you can buy and you can get an immediate benefit from. You don't like your diet. If you change your diet right now, or you convince yourself I'm going to get 8 hours of sleep, you're not going to see immediate improvements tomorrow. And so you still have to work at it. But with a shoe, you can put it on and you can feel faster. Okay, so now it's cheating because I got immediate benefits, maybe. So it's an easy way to just say that. But everybody's building, like literally every company's building a pretty darn good performance training or super shoe now, and so the playing field has leveled pretty well.
Yeah.
So that a lot of that criticism is gone.
Yeah. It's fascinating. We want immediate results in a time of short form content explosion too. Who would have thought they're tied together?
Yeah. I mean, and it's fun, right? It brings more, like this kind of stuff brings more people into it too. It's fun.
Oh, yeah.
If we were running around in hard shoes that were stiff and clunky and it was just a chore, you wouldn't have nearly as many people having fun at the sport. Remember, it's like I said earlier, it's a hobby. Like nobody's forcing me to do this an hour a day. I kind of jokingly say it's not my running isn't benefiting anybody. I guess maybe I'll live a little longer and it will. But it's a pretty selfish thing we do, to have the luxury to be able to go put in this effort. It's like golfing, fishing, whatever. We do this because we want to. And so if it doesn't feel good and it's not fun, we're not going to do it. So, the more we can get people out and excited about it, and if that's through fancy new shoes that feel really good, sweet.
Yeah. Well, you're helping land this before we move on to the next topic, but I do, and the theme of the podcast, I got to reiterate for everyone here is it is something to get excited about too. Like you must still get excited opening a new pair of shoes. And if we all just ran everything in Converse for basketball, baseball, tennis, marathons, it wouldn't be as fun as when you just get to go, like if you try a new sport, put on a new pair of ski boots. These are exciting moments. I think the more of them that exist, the better.
Yeah, it is. I mein, and not just the gear. Like there's a lot of things I get excited about. Like, I'm going to meet up with some friends and do my run. And it's not like, you get excited about that. It's a whole lot different than just standing out in the rain by myself. But yeah, like literally I said before this, I grabbed a pair of shoes and the first thing I did was take the box around the office. Pat Hine, our video producer, who's an ultra marathoner, he's here today. And I was like, this is a typical thing. Yeah. I either call him over and we rip the boxes open together, or I come like, hey, look what we got. Look what showed up today. It's like Christmas all over again every day.
Yeah. It's why unboxing channels do so well on the internet. 'Cause it's exciting.
Soccer. People like that.
Yeah.
People like new stuff.
I want to go into your deep past a little bit here. How did you end up working for the NBA? That seems like a pretty cool, unique experience. And what were you covering?
You did go deep. So I took a really unusual route to the NBA. I started working in the concession stands when I was a kid for the Detroit Pistons. And the Pistons played 10 minutes down the road. I had a cousin who was one of the managers in the concession stands, still in college and still in school. I think I was in high school when I started. So I was flipping hot dogs, truly. And
what year was this? Who was on the team? Who was on the team? What year was this?
Oh gosh.
Not to date you.
This was the early 90s. So
fun times, right?
Joe Dumars was still on the team at one point.
Okay.
And I was a broadcasting major in college. And so I got an internship working in their audio department. And the Pistons had a couple other properties, or the organization had a couple of music venues. They would do summer events. So I remember Dumars retiring when I was an intern. So if you want to do the math and figure it out, you can figure out how old I am. But so yeah, that led to literally being in the building and knowing people led to me getting an internship. Just because I knew who to ask, and somebody could say, hey, yeah, this kid is a good kid. And so I got that. And then moved to New York for a little while right after college. And when I went back to Michigan, they had a job open, and my old internship supervisor knew I was looking for a job. And so when something opened up in their web team, I got the call and applied for it. And so I was working for basketball team. And so then that led a couple years with the Pistons professionally full time. I ended up quitting and moving to New York again, bouncing back and forth, and just took a chance that I was going to land at the league. I knew enough people through my years at the Pistons, to be able to apply for a job at the league and get a good recommendation. So I ended up working for the NBA for a while. I was a writer. I ended up started in the PR group and was doing a lot of communications based stuff, but ended up writing for NBA.com for a long time.
Wow. What kind of articles were you writing?
Literally everything. We had a small staff there. So I would do the power rankings every week.
Nice.
I watched so many games. I was up way too late, and it's a bad habit I still have. I stay up watching West Coast games. But yeah, I would do the power rankings every week. We had a column every week that I would do. I had a really fun one year where I was inside the room where they do the lottery balls for the draft. And so I got to watch that whole process unfold as, the ball fell and the team got the number one pick. So I got to write about that. And at a time when nobody really knew what happened behind those closed doors, I got to tell, what it was like. And then I got to do some cool stuff. Like I traveled to Japan with Team USA for the World Championships one year. So I was literally doing game stories and writing stuff, not like the nuts and bolts of the recap, but a little bit.
Are you interacting with players and stuff too?
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. No, just every day was, interviews and, with something like Team USA, when I went to Japan, or I went with the Spurs to France one time, you're kind of traveling with the team, eating in the meal room with the team. You're really embedded with them. And so, I was at the NBA, so it wasn't like I was, an independent outlet. So everybody knew what I was going to write was not going to, I wasn't the guy with cancer going down the hall, looking to tank somebody's career.
Yeah.
I was objective enough. I could write, and I could be critical of things too, but I wasn't out looking for the most dirt in that job.
Yeah. Was it a dream job for that point in your life?
I mean, we get to work in sports. It's wonderful. I grew up playing. I love basketball. I wasn't good enough to play. And I talk to kids a lot. Go tell kids how to make magazines, and you lose them real quick. Oh, hey, kids, journalism is a fun job. And then their eyes glaze over. And I'm like, who wants to be LeBron James? And all the kids' hands go up. And I'm like, look, I've been earning a paycheck from pro sports for a long time, and I didn't have the talent to be an athlete. I'm 6 feet tall, and I can swing a bat, or, I was not the best stick and ball sports player, but I got to be involved with it. You can be a really smart chemist and, work in the running shoe industry. You can go a lot of different avenues to be into pro sports, and it's still a job. They still got to pay you to show up. There's days where you're kind of like, got a lot of work to do, but it's like, it's a fun job. I'm not, my parents were auto workers. Like I said, my mom worked the assembly line. It's a job you do because you have to. This is a job you do because you want to.
Yeah. All right. One more thing, because we're going to just lose all the listeners in the running world. What do you think of LeBron's streak of 10 points a game for 1,200 plus games coming to an end?
I was at the league when he got drafted. He's a young guy and he's still playing. It blows my mind.
It's crazy. He's still good.
He had all the natural gifts, right? Like when he was a kid out of high school, he could make that jump to play in the pros. But you've seen this in any sport where like you've got the phenom. It happens in running too. And a year or two, they're like, hey, where'd that person go? Right? But LeBron put in the work day in and day out to keep his body healthy. I mean, he takes abuse out on the court. And so he's done everything he's had to do to be the best and then to stay at such a high level for so long. And that doesn't happen just by being gifted. That is, he's earned every bit of what he's, received throughout that long career. And he could have taken, a short career and gone and been fine. But the fact that he's still fired up to get out there and play at his age, I love it.
Yeah. We'll bring this back to running. I think it's like a really good lesson that whatever you're aiming at, like being in the NBA, a professional, is once you get there, there's the next level of now like all NBA or Hall of Famer or the points record or all these records or 20 years in the league or play with your son is like, you don't ever hit the level that, you maybe thought you're going for. And I think the credit to LeBron and in my life, I've gotten to see the greats in almost every single sport is just how much it takes. It's so incredible. And even in running too, I think, especially being in my 30s now, you look at some of the kid from Texas who ran on the world's team and stuff in the 800 this year. It's just like, it's crazy how much it takes to go from that moment to have a long career and be successful because it's so hard.
And it's also like goal setting for a lot of us is really
Mm-hmm.
important, right? You think about
Mm-hmm.
what's next for you. What makes you want to go back and you did the AT, you got the FKT on that. Like, what's next? There's
Yeah.
something that's got to get you out of bed. And so you mentioned Cooper Lukenhaus, who ran the 800 for the U.S. Like the kid, Olympian caliber athlete. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what's next? You keep setting these goals to pushing yourself, and at some point you hit the ceiling, and you're not going to be there ever again. But why do I keep putting on a bib and going out and running when I know I'm minutes slower than I ever was?
Yeah.
Because I want to get the best out of myself today. It's still, there's still a lot to be said for accomplishing some kind of goal and pushing yourself in whatever endeavor we have. And that's different for everybody. I'm never going to make an Olympic team, but I don't need to. Like, I'm happy reaching something that I didn't think was achievable.
Well, and I had talked to Jeff Galloway yesterday, and he talked a lot about just having like purpose with every run. And I think that's kind of the thing we're all aiming at, whether you're helping people find shoes or gear or injury prevention or nutrition stuff, or maybe it's hopefully entertainment with the podcast or number of things, is like that purpose where it influences the world. And I think that's the one triumph we'll have over AI anyways, is we have purpose. AI just has a job forever.
Yeah. Yeah. We think about like people practicing gratitude every day, just kind of reminding ourselves, what we're getting out of all this. And it's work. I went out and I sweat for 6 miles this morning, and it's like, it was cold. It was 17 degrees here this morning. I had 2 sets of mittens on. And it's like, you don't want to do it. And you're like, well, why am I doing it? Well, I'm not doing it for today. I'm doing it for next June.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about that, like, this is the chipping away at that goal. If we remember that, it's like, oh yeah, this morning's run was pretty fun then in the context of where I want to go. And I got it done. Felt real good afterwards.
Yeah. All right, let's kind of shift into some broader stuff in the running world. We've exhausted our LeBron topic of the week here. But first I want to just hit on something that's like the craziest thing in our lives that sometimes we forget happened. How did COVID impact runner's world, the digital publishing space, and content in general? Because, and I'm running specifically, how did it impact you? And you can take that however you want, because it impacted so many things related to you.
It blew everything up for a little while, right?
Yeah.
I said it was a really good time to be a runner,
Mm-hmm.
and in the business of running. One, because we had our health, as we learned
Yeah.
later, respiratory disease. If you're fit, you have that ability to just have better defenses, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was good. But I mentioned earlier, our job here is to help people. And this was a
Yeah.
time when everybody was scared. We were at home. We were isolated. And one of the only things we could do to get outside of our apartments and houses and whatever was to go for a run. And
Yeah.
so I reminded a bunch of people here, like, runners, people in general, need us more now than ever. And a time when it's scary and hard for us too, like we have to be here. And it was not only runners, but walkers, people who were just getting out and walking and experiencing the same things that runners do. The same injuries, the same needs, the same goals. If I need to get a new pair of shoes, how do I do
Mm-hmm.
that? So it was
You became their community because the community wasn't allowed to some extent. You touched
their
people and
community, their
helped them.
therapy, their like we were a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was, it's scary and it's challenging, but it's an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at it that way, it was an opportunity for all of us really to kind of think about things. Now, if you're in the race business, and you're all the races are canceled overnight, that's a tough spot to be. And we saw a lot of events didn't come back, and it's been a long struggle
Hmm.
for some. But look where we're at now, a few short years later. Like,
Yeah.
impossible to get into some places. But so yeah, it was definitely a challenge. Personally, I ended up having more time to run. I ran a
Yeah.
lot, and it was good, but I didn't have anything to apply it to. I didn't have any races, so I had to find new goals. And we did some really fun things during that time. Like a couple of us we ran 1 mile every hour for 24 hours. And I tried to run them kind of hard. I didn't just go out and just jog a mile. I ran it in 24 different pairs of shoes too, which was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Or I ran every street in Jersey City where I was living at the time.
Yep.
Turns out it's a pretty big city. And just kind of occupied myself by mapping it all out and figuring out where I'm going to go today. And had COVID not happened, I probably wouldn't have done something crazy
Hmm.
like that. Like
Did
that.
the magazine grow or the brand grow through COVID because so many more runners kind of jumped on, and then did it fall off in the trailing months after that, or kind of how did that impact readership?
Yeah, I think we saw a lot of businesses really experience spikes. There were challenges for, like, if you look at like the bike industry as an example, like you couldn't get bikes, but more
Hmm.
people than ever were trying to bike, and so some people made some bad bets coming out of that too. Yeah, more people were lacing up shoes, more people were coming to us, and so that was a good thing. And we have to always keep our eyes on who's coming and what do they need from us. A lot of those people are going to disappear, but that's kind of a cycle of a runner's world reader in a way too. People, they get into it, they try to learn what they need to know to be able to advance, and maybe some people age out of it, maybe some people stop running, but tomorrow we will have new runners. The day after
Hmm.
that, we will have new runners. And so while it seems like, hey, we'll do the same story, we have to remember that we're helping people in the same ways every single day. And so, yeah, the numbers, running is in a good spot. It's again, on the uptick, and that's a good thing.
It almost seems like a kid growing up of like gets into it, needs runner's world to learn all these things, and then thinks they know everything, leaves, and then like gets injured or gets older, and then comes back and is like, okay, I don't know everything. Now I'm here to stay. It's almost like the life cycle of growing up or something.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And there's a lot of people who they'll seek, they have a coach, and so some of the
Hmm.
training advice that we offer, they're not really needing from us. But maybe there's other things where they'll learn something about an elite that they can apply to their own life, right? So
Hmm.
maybe even more advanced runners, they still have reasons, that we can help them as well.
Yeah. All right. I want to hit on a little more specific. How, from your perspective, which is a lot less biased than mine, has the trail and ultra world kind of growth and fit into the greater running world? Is there excitement and knowledge in kind of your standard runner of this whole world, or are we so niche and we just think we're bigger than we are?
It's we live in echo chambers.
Yeah.
Whether whatever our social media lives are, it seems really important at the time, and we think this is what's happening, and it's like so important. And you step back and you realize there's many hundreds of millions of people that don't care about your running.
Totally.
And so that happens in any facet of our lives. Anybody who's got a passion or an interest, you're gonna end up thinking it's really important and being with like-minded people. Now, ultra's grown, undeniably,
Hmm.
right? Trail and ultra's been massive, and I think of it just from how we cover it. Even, um,
Hmm.
we're talking about the results of races now. We're you know writing more about it than we ever had, and you're seeing more events grow. UTMB's got a race coming to the Keystone State. We're in Pennsylvania, so
Yep.
it's like, yeah, that wouldn't have happened, a while ago. So it's good. It's still a small sport. And I think the sport of running is a small sport. It's still a small thing. But there, you know, tens of millions of runners in the U.S. alone. So it's a big thing where people identify as running, and ultimately the thing that we do is the same. Where we do it, how we do it, and what we want to get out of it changes. I think the one thing that's challenging about like trail and ultra versus just jogging around your neighborhood is access,
Hmm.
opportunity, right? It's if you think about the stresses that are happening on public lands and with permitting and parks, and even to a degree, like the road racing, you look at some of the challenges with policing and insurances, and whatever, it becomes hard to put on events. But I can still run loops around my neighborhood any day of the week I want. And maybe sometimes it's
Yeah.
hard to get into some of those places to go, do some of these longer adventures. I've
And
done
that's where I think,
oh, sorry, go
oh
ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I did a bunch of years. I've done a trail race up in the Adirondack Mountains, upstate New York, and it's a blast. It's like 11-mile race, point to point, and they're limited to 60 runners, and they can only
Mhm.
let one runner go every minute. And it's impossible to get into that race, and then it's a real challenge out on the trail, and sort of handicap it so the faster runners go last, and you get everybody sort of the finish around the same time. But tight little trails, it gets busy for a day with just 60 runners.
Mhm. And this is why it is the echo chamber too, is like, I live in Montana. We have trails and like 1 million people and that's it. And
Yeah.
the echo chamber is because we use the trails because they're like a mile from my house. But in Pennsylvania or the city or even LA and stuff, it's more road focused because that is what is there. And just like you said, and I think for the vast majority of people, the road is right outside versus the trail is right outside, along with the grizzly bear here.
Yeah, I mean, the Appalachian Trail's 20 minutes from our house, and I don't go there much.
That's like trail walking. Come on, that's a hard trail, especially
In
in
Pennsylvania,
Rocksylvania.
yeah, it's a challenge, but that's kind of the fun too. You learn it.
Yeah.
I always think about like the definition of a trail for people. For a
Hmm.
lot of people, it's a rail trail. It's
Yep.
it's a dirt road. Not much more than a dirt road. Here, it's really technical, like really, really technical. Like you're gonna fall down at some point today, and
Yeah.
but you're gonna run it, and you're gonna build those skills. Where another person who is on a technical trail is never gonna even think about going on those trails. Like, no, that's not runnable. And we're like, yeah, it's runnable. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, yeah, in the same way that a 5K can feel scary to someone who's never run, a
Yeah.
trail race or trail run can feel scary to someone who runs road marathons. And I think that's a perspective we should all keep in mind as we're like, why isn't trail running taking over the world? It's like, probably because there's not trails everywhere and we have
I
modern
would
roads too.
I would love for trail running to take over the world, or any running. I mean, I think I
Yeah.
genuinely think like like you and I are helping the world right now, getting more people excited to go run and
Hmm.
change their health. If we want to upend the healthcare industry, just make sure everybody gets fit, get everybody healthy, and all of a sudden
Totally.
everything changes. Like, it's a naive thing to think like we're going to make the difference, but like the more people that we have walking around fit and healthy, the fewer bad outcomes we have with health and mortality rates. And so I genuinely think we're actually contributing to the well-being of the planet.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Just one PIBA foam shoe at a time.
That's right.
Last little topic here. What are kind of the trends and the things in the industry or readership or consumers that are kind of top of mind and conversation starters for people out there these days? What's getting the people going?
There's a bunch of little things. Like, it's one of the fun ones right now is the World Marathon Majors.
Yep.
I'm always like, I can't believe like so many people like, well, they want that medal. They got to go do all these races, and it's more. I almost like, do you want the medal for like the 6 or 7 races more than you want to do the races and go to, like, say, Sydney or what? It's a hard effort, but there's so many people that are into it and doing it. And I'm like, it's cool. It's getting people out there to go do these races. And the challenge of it is a lot of people just can't get into these things now. So,
Yeah. New
I'm like,
York is impossible.
that is, and even some of like the little local races are getting hard to get into in some places. So it opens opportunity for other races that maybe people
Hmm.
didn't think about. But maybe people are going to go run a Richmond Marathon or an 8K somewhere because they couldn't get into the New York City half, whatever.
Hmm.
So that's always kind of a fun one. I mean, the gear it's like, what is the newest, latest, greatest? Like right now, pricing of shoes has gone bananas. Like everything,
It's
it's
like
hard to crumble up.
doubled. Yeah.
It has. And but one of the things I want to remind people a lot when I'm some of these is you don't have to buy that $300 pair of racers, right? You just use it, save it for race day or for a key workout, and get the $150 trainers and put the bulk of the miles in those, or buy last year's, on sale. So a lot of that kind of stuff, like it's exciting and it seems important, but like we talked about a little bit earlier, it's like it's it's a small thing.
There's always like a pair of $40 or $50 shoes that are going to be completely fine if you're starting out running. Your body won't know the difference. Just start with them.
That's a rough one.
70, 80 maybe. Okay.
Yeah, we're getting closer. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're right. You got to find the thing that's going to feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I mean, those are kinds of a couple of the things that, I'm seeing and thinking about.
Is apparel still a big topic? It seems like almost each brand has like a cult following these days.
It's crazy how many companies are out there. Like every day somebody new is building stuff, which is good. I love variety. I love having options. It just makes it easier for people and better for people to get what they want and what works for them. So yeah, I mean, the apparel was always kind of an afterthought. Like I run in cotton shirts all the time. It's what I grew up doing.
I love cotton shirts.
What's that?
I love cotton shirts. They keep you cool too.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, some people don't like them. I love it.
Cotton kills. Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah, if I'm going up in the mountains in the wintertime, if I twist an ankle and call for an Uber here today, cotton's not going to hurt me. But no, it's cool. It's like there's a really expensive, fashionable stuff that looks good, and it's hey, look, if I want to look good and feel good when I'm out there, sure, that's another way to do it. And I love it. Cotton has almost kind of become a joke for me. Like I'm the king of cotton at this point. Just because I think it works. Most things work for most people most of the time.
Yeah, I agree. I think just going running or even hiking or walking, whatever you're doing that and then just putting on what you think will work, it'll probably be close enough. That's my philosophy on it. Yeah. Okay. Second to last thing. So I want to read you the headline of the article. The first time I was covered in Runner's World. I may have to clip this and put it at the front, and then you're going to react. This athlete ran a 5K wearing Crocs, but here's why we don't recommend that. I thought it was just so funny on, that was why I got in Runner's World, and it was about why I'm an idiot.
We didn't say you were an idiot. They work for you. Remember, we're all experiments of one. They're probably not going to work for most people.
Yeah, I do try to run a 5K PR in Crocs every year, but they did talk to two different podiatrists for the article, talked about why it's not a great idea, but I thought it was a hilarious article. So
we covered a handful of people wearing Crocs. A bunch of years back now, once they really started becoming popular. There's a family in Utah, they were running half marathons in Crocs. It was awesome. I'm like, see, it works for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it works, but I just thought that was funny and I had to bring it up since you're here. The last question that I'm asking all this month is, what is your case for Jeff of the Year?
It's not me. I don't know. You want me to make my own case for Jeff of the Year?
Yeah. Leave it wide open and the answers have been so fun. I'll tell you some after you give yours.
Oh, Jeff of the Year, because I BQ'd 3 times this year, twice in training runs. And one was I ran 2:59 immediately following a 100-mile week, and using that race as a workout. So I really take the philosophy of just running a ton and maybe not being super smart about it. It's bad advice that we don't give our readers. I'm, like I said, experiment of one. What I like to do is going to break a lot of other people, and I understand that. But you know what? I like to maybe take chances, and I think more of us should. So yeah, be like this, Jeff, and take chances.
Yeah, I'll help you out with a little alley-oop here. How many pairs of shoes did you test this year? This is going to be like a statistic no other Jeff is going to beat.
I think I'm around 130 right now. And, we got a couple weeks left. So, and a lot of new shoes are showing up right now. So I'll probably be close to 150 by the time the year's out.
That is so insane. Like that's more than the number of runs an average runner is doing in a year.
I started the year strong in January. I think I have to look back at the numbers exactly, but I think I did like 52 runs, like 400 some miles in January with 44 different pairs of shoes in the month of January alone.
I love it. Yeah, we've gotten some cases like top 2% of Taylor Swift listeners for Spotify Wrapped.
Wow.
Baked used up 102 pounds of flour this year and grew 50 something pounds of potatoes. And then Jeff Galloway, who's probably going to win. Sorry. He's running a marathon in Honolulu this coming week at 80 years old. And it'll be the 8th decade of his life that he's run a marathon in. So he'll be part of the 8-decade club. So that's going to be a hard one for you guys to top.
That's a tough one. Yeah. I don't.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for joining. We can find you. We already hit on it, but Dengatorade on the internet, and then anywhere Runner's World magazines are sold.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. I hope you enjoyed that podcast with Jeff Dengatorade, Dengate. And I'd like to remind you that this podcast and all of them are made possible by John G, by CScoffee, by Garage Grown Gear. And I know a lot of podcasts have sponsors, but I've worked with all of these brands now for 5+ years. Some of them more than that, all of them at least 5 years. And so I believe in the products. I know the owners. I could text all the owners personally, and I wear all their products. So that's why they're out there. At Garage Grown Gear, some things that I use. I use trekking poles from there, the LT5s on the Appalachian Trail. I used Enlightened Equipment sleeping bag that I got from Garage Grown Gear on there. I bought meals on there, which are great. And they have Norda shoes, they have Ultra shoes, they have all kinds of stuff. So it's basically a small business marketplace where you can see all the small businesses in one place, like an e-commerce platform for them, and you can learn a little bit about them. There's like a about the company little page, so check that out. Even if you don't buy anything, you can learn about all these businesses. You can get custom stuff there, you can get stuff that's in stock, you can get tiny toothbrushes if you like brushing your teeth in the middle of the 200. Check out Garage Grown Gear. And then Janji, JANJI.com. Right now they have their winter line, the winter apparel. So I really love here in Montana, it's kind of one of those places where it's cold, but the sun is out. So you feel warmer. So a light jacket, even like a rain jacket, like the Rain Runner, is very breathable. The whole back panel is vented, so you don't get that like sauna feeling inside. I also love the Vortex gloves. The Boreal fleece line tights are great, especially when trying to do intervals in a snowy winter wonderland. So check them out and use code FREEOUTSIDE to tell them I sent you. I use all this stuff, guys. Not even joking. They're not just a product. We're not like chew alpha male direct gum to get better like some of the other big podcasts do that don't actually use those products. We use them here. And then our last sponsor, CScoffee. I love coffee. I love coffee. I drink coffee as late into the day as I can because I just love the taste of it. And CScoffee is instant coffee. It's CSinstant.coffee, and it's premium freeze-dried instant coffee. So even on your backpacking trip, you can drink coffee late into the day and enjoy it. So check them out. All right, that was the episode. Please help us pick our Jeffs of the Year, our Jeffrey Award winners, by voting at the form linked below. And we are going to have a great 2026. Things will come together. I'm training well. I think I'm going to hit 70 miles this week with 15,000 feet of gain. Got some early season races I'm signed up for, which is really stupid, but it's going to be fun. We're just going to dive into what I love doing, and the money and sponsors and working with everything. It'll all work itself out. This life, we get one to live as far as we know. So I'm going to go after the things that I like doing and find a way to keep going after them. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate this audience. We've crossed 250,000 downloads in a year and a half. It's pretty crazy what this thing has become. And without you guys, I'm nothing except a voice screaming into the void. Somehow it's easier to talk into nothingness, even though thousands of people listen every week, than it is to just talk one-on-one to people. But that is the afflictions I deal with. I go to therapy to try to learn how to be social and not be so let down or overwhelmed by one-on-one communication. But here we are. So thanks for following along, and stay elite, my friends.